Hi, welcome back to another episode of Weathering Autism. Thank you for joining me today. Today we want to talk about stimming. What is stimming?
So what is stimming in a child with an autism spectrum disorder? Well, stimming is not quite a medical word, but often parents say that and describe a certain kind of behavior, which means stimulation, and it's like self-stimulating behavior, which can be a lot of the stereotypies that you see in a child, the repetitive hand shaking or shaking a toy repeatedly. And parents describe this sometimes as an increase in stimming, for example, or an increase in this behavior, which can be due to anxiety or a child is overstimulated, and it actually can be a sign. Now, children can often engage in these behaviors to calm themselves, or when they're overexcited and cannot self-regulate. So it's a matter of seeing where this falls on the spectrum of behavior, and you can do it with language. I mean, a lot of parents call stimming as echolalia. They'll keep repeating that sound, and that's also verbal stimming. And you can have non-verbal stimming, which can be repetitively going around in circles, or closing a door back and forth, or the faucet back and forth. And a lot of stimming behavior is actually body movements. And you can see that with shaking a part of their body. I have children who want to hold on to a toy or a string and wanting to shake it repeatedly, and that's also stimming. I want to differentiate that from motor tics, for example, where a child can be blinking or have facial grimacing or can be smacking their lips or making sounds. These are tics. They could be motor or vocal tics, and these are different from stimulating behaviors. So you need to look at differentiating stimming, stereotypic behavior, which is seen more in the autism spectrum, to a motor tic that may be occurring in your child.
Now that we know what stimming is, what can be done about it? Or should anything at all be done about it? There are two differing opinions as to how to approach stimming in children with autism. One has to do with reprogramming, or substituting other behaviors that may be more normative than those that are being practiced by our children who are stimming. And so there is techniques and things that can be done, or things that people are advocating that we do to our children to make them more acceptable in our society when it comes to how to handle stimulus that comes to them.
There's a phrase that's being used in the autism community called stimming. Often you'll hear people talk about your child stimming, and you might wonder what that means. Well, it's actually a shortened version of self-stimulatory behavior. And it's kind of a misnomer because it isn't necessarily a self-stimulatory behavior. It might be a self-soothing behavior that our child is doing. But what's most important to know is that all of these stims, if you will, are not random. There is a reason for them. Frequently our children do them, as I said, to either calm themselves down or to make themselves feel happy. And there are things that we can do to minimize them, because we can give a different behavior to the child to do that fulfills the same purpose but is more socially acceptable. So keep that in mind, and remember that we don't have to just accept these repetitive behaviors. We can find something better for the child to do that doesn't draw as much attention to itself and doesn't make them a target for bullying.
The other opinion is letting them be. It's a way for them to express themselves as far as what they're dealing with, to try to cope, to try to settle themselves down sometimes when they're experiencing overwhelming situations. And so there are those who have the opinion that they should just let them be, and that society needs to understand that people are different and there are neurodiversity among people. So to get people to be more accepting of those who have autism, who are expressing themselves through stimming. Joy F. Johnson is one such person, and I've been mentioning her a couple of times on Weathering Autism. I'll let her explain herself in her own words.
Hi, my name is Joy Johnson. I'm a behavior specialist and I am autistic. I am proud of representing my population, meaning the autistic population, in the field of psychology. And I'm also proud that I authored a book written about a little girl who stims when she's happy, called Happy, Flappy, and Me. And I was able to, you know, bring that to life, and it represents me as a child stimming, and I wanted to provide autistic kids with a character that they can relate to.
That's amazing!
I was diagnosed when I was a kid. That's why the book was about a little kid that flaps, because I used to flap when I was a little kid. But I didn't really develop awareness. While I always had the diagnosis, I didn't develop the awareness until I was an adult. So in that aspect, I think diagnosis is important, but because with diagnosis comes awareness. Like since I've been an adult and gotten reassessed, they're able to pinpoint certain things that identify the traits of autism, but that helps me be more aware of, okay, I've pinpointed these are issues that I have, you know, in communication, in emotional intelligence, in behavior, and I know how to move forward and navigating through the world and my environment, which helps me be more successful. So to me, diagnosis is important because it helps facilitate self-awareness. Our norms are a little bit different from your norms. That's one of the reasons why I am getting my PhD right now, is because I'd like to embark upon research that involves the autistic population in the research that dictates interventions and treatments. A lot of times I'll go into a home and parents or other clinicians will want to target STEM, like non-harmful stimming, like flapping of hands or rocking. You know, they want to target to be treated. And to me, this is something that's beneficial, so I don't treat it. And I would like to bring our voice into the treatment and clinical world by conducting research that validates our voice and involves us in society's view of what a socially significant behavior is, meaning we view stimming as beneficial when it's not harmful. And this is not something that you should try to take away from us. I want us to be more involved in treatment, so society views our perspectives as valid, and the promotion of neurodiversity becomes more of the standard rather than trying to get us to conform to a neurotypical norm.
If you want to reach Joy F. Johnson and you're interested in her book, Happy, Flappy, and Me, the information will be in the comment section of this video. Also, I wanted to show you some of the things that she has created to help children with autism if they're in a motor vehicle or if they get pulled over by the police, to identify as being autistic so that these behaviors will not be misinterpreted by law enforcement. I want to know what you think. What is your opinion about how stimming should be handled in our children? I have included in the comment section of this video a PDF social story, and I think it's very valuable. It's the link to the story, so you can click on the link and go right there, and you can download the social story, and it just is a way for us to express to our children and share with our children the importance of being respectful to law enforcement and how to engage them if we're ever confronted with an issue with law enforcement. So hopefully that will be a blessing to you. Thank you again for tuning in to Weathering Autism. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.